Hi, and welcome to Whirlidurb Content Connections. My name is Roxanne. I'm Content Director here at Whirlidurb, and what we're doing with our Content Connection series, we're talking with educators from zoos, museums, cultural institutions, research institutions throughout the U.S. and Canada, Australia. We're finding out how they're using technology to support their educational initiatives and their outreach programs. And today, I'm very excited. Down here in Texas, I am connected to Darin Trobaugh, who is the education specialist at the Alaska SeaLife Center in Seward, Alaska. Hey, Darin.
Hi, Roxanne. How are you doing?
I am doing well, and I must say, anytime from down here in Texas, when we get to connect to Alaska, we get really excited about it. So I'm so glad to have you.
I actually just taught some kids in Dallas this morning, and they were very excited. I was a little excited to hear that it was 72 degrees down there in Dallas this morning. It's not exactly 72 today in Alaska.
Well, yes. We're, we say 60 and sunny is our perfect winter day down here in Texas. So, if it gets any colder than that, we just don't know what to do. So now, Darin, I am so excited. And so I want you to just tell us a little bit about the Alaska SeaLife Center and what you do there.
All right. Well, the Alaska SeaLife Center is a marine education and research facility, and I'll just play a short video here so you can see a little bit of what we do. We've got harbor seals that are actually the ones in the tank behind me if they happen to swim by. We also have stellar sea lions, and they are listed as an endangered species, so that's one of the big ones that we research here, and it is one of the big ones, actually the biggest sea lions in the world. We also have a diving seabird exhibit where you can see puffins and guillemots and murres diving underwater, and you can observe those bubbles coming out of their feathers so you can learn about their adaptations while you're watching these animals. Of course, people are familiar with a lot of fish up here in Alaska, lingcod, rockfish. We've got salmon and halibut. All those types of fish that we like to eat are here on exhibit. So we like to teach people about what goes on in these marine ecosystems around Alaska. In addition to that, we do these programs to reach out to folks who can't actually make it here. And behind the scenes, we'll talk about our research and rescue programs. So we've got, for example, a couple of rescued sea otters right now. I just captured a little bit of video of them cuddling this morning, so I'll share that just briefly. They're super cute animals, of course. And we'll see what those sea otters are up to this morning very early, as I was talking to those kids in Dallas. So those are two sea otters, probably around 5 to 6 months old at this point. We never know exactly how old the animals are when we rescue them. We can make educated guesses, but right now you can see they're very comfortable with each other, and we're just holding them temporarily until we can find a location that's suitable for them. We don't have a habitat that's designed for sea otters here at the SeaLife Center, so we're acting in this case as a transfer station for them. We'll hold them safely and happily until we can find a spot for them. Those animals can't go back out into the wild simply because when we picked them up, they were too young to take care of themselves, and we had to spend all day and night with them. So just another example of what we do here. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and we try to make that apparent in all of our video conference programs. We like to share what we've got here and what we know. There you can see the harbor seals swimming around up above behind me here. And it's a fun place to visit in person or virtually, however you can make it.
Well, Darin, I love that, because I was wondering, how are we going to see those animals? I love how you incorporate the recorded video with the live narration and the teaching. Very nice example. Now, you mentioned, and I read on your website, and you mentioned about the research facility, and it explained that y'all are a public aquarium and a research facility. So, and you alluded to and you explained you've got a lot of educational programs that are going on there. If we connect to you virtually, connect through the video conference to you, what could a classroom teacher expect? So would the students just sit there and listen to you for an hour or 55 minutes? What's this going to be like? Is it like watching TV?
Well, I certainly hope they wouldn't just sit there and listen for the full hour. In fact, I start every single program with a question for them. So we start out with a quick geography lesson. Looking at a map here, I will ask them, for example, I'll be pointing to your state, and I'll ask you where my red arrow is pointing. And, of course, the kids can answer that. And then I want them to identify Alaska on this map, and we can actually move it around, and not to rub it in, but you can see how much larger Alaska is than all of the other states. But this is a great way to compare and just really show it's more than 2 times the size of Texas. And then putting it back in its place on the map, we can do some geography of the Arctic Ocean, the Bering Sea, which kids might see on the Discovery Channel, of course, and the North Pacific Ocean. Very important resources around here. So I prod them to tell me what they would like to see. If they got the chance to visit Alaska, what do they think they would get to see or do up here? So I get them started right away in a conversation. And then, of course, we'll have some background information to present, and then along the way, we'll interact with the students as much as possible. So we try to keep it as highly interactive as possible and using as much live content as we can. But as you saw, I can't be everywhere at once. Those sea otters are in a completely different location from where I'm standing right now, so I've got recorded footage of animals, as well as during darkness hours here in Alaska, which are plenty in the wintertime during the school year. We've got that backup recorded footage, but it's always great to have animals swimming around behind us, too.
Yeah.
So what the teacher could expect is we'll send materials to join up with the session so the kids have something in front of them while we're going through the session. For example, you'd get a little clay kit for our Marine Mammal Adaptations program, and after we've talked about the seals and the sea lions here at the SeaLife Center and the sea otters, we would go back and we'd review all those adaptations through the creation of a little clay harbor seal. So the kids would all get a little clay seal that they would then take home with them.
Oh, wow. So they're actually using the clay to create the seal.
That's correct. Yep. So we lead them under the document camera through making that seal, and every step of the way we review what adaptations that seal had that we observed through either the live video or recorded footage that we've got of the seals.
Oh, nice. So you're incorporating a lot of that scientific observation skills as well into your programs.
Exactly, yep. Which is great for any age level, but for the young students, we're examining the habitat that they're in. We've got this sort of rocky coast habitat with very cold seawater, and we've established that by looking at the map early on. And then we're putting that animal into their habitat and observing their adaptations directly, either through live or recorded video.
Nice. Now that brought a question to my mind. Are your programs aligned with science standards? How do y'all decide what you're going to make into a program?
We typically align them with both Alaska state standards and the national content standards. So yes, typically science content standards are what we're aiming for, but each program has a teacher guide where we've got some extensions for post-visit activities, so you can add in some math and some reading and writing activities as well. We've got suggestions for those that are directly related to what we talked about during the program. Okay,
very nice there. All right, Darin, I'm getting a little pixelation from you. Like, go in front of the camera just like that. Okay, it does work. It just wiped the pixelation right off. Okay, I'll edit. Have you ever seen that before?
Interesting. Where something gets pixelated, but then it just kind of clears it off.
Yeah, we used to joke. We're like, okay, could you just wipe that off? And it just cleaned it right up. Odd. Okay, yes. So note: edit video before putting.
Yeah, just let me know if you need me to do that again. I can move the camera around.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, so let's see. All right, so now, Darin, that sounds okay. You've got hands-on activities for the students to be doing. They're making their the clay stellar sea lion. Now,
harbor seals.
Harbor seals. Okay,
yes.
You got me stuck on that. That was from the first. The harbor seals. Let me get the right ones there. Like, I need a lesson. Now, and I saw you using the video, but we're going to connect to you through video conferencing. So have you, and all of us in two-way video, I'm always asking to see, what makes that live synchronous connection? How is that different from, students that we can learn off of YouTube? We can go watch YouTube videos. There's Discovery Education where we can just watch the videos. What is it that you found that makes enables us to create that powerful learning experience through the two-way video?
Well, a couple of things. I would say, first of all, it's our specialty, and so we've sort of done the lesson planning for you. So we've got a lesson created. It's tried and tested. We've done this literally thousands of times. We've taught over 50,000 students since we started doing these programs in 2005. And we know a lot about these animals, and we've done the research. We've put together these clips that we'll use during the program at the best moments possible to get exactly what we're looking for out of the students and set up that inquiry right away. But also, as the students are watching live animals or even recorded video that I'm showing, they can make observations. I can pause the video, and if they have a question immediately, they can ask about it, and I can zoom in on the animals. I can make direct connections with those students. So when something pops into their head, they can see it right away. And if they've got a question, I can typically answer it, but visually for those kids that really want to see the answer if possible.
And that, I love that you focused on the experience you'll have of developing that lesson cycle to really communicate those scientific principles. Because if there's one thing we know about science is that it is so easy to have misconceptions, scientific misconceptions that, you know, students can carry with them into adulthood. So have you encountered some of those in programs where you're like, well, you might think this is true, but this is what really happens?
Absolutely. Now, one example is back here in the corner behind me, and it's a bit dark back there, but I'll zoom in anyway, because this is an octopus. And so there's a couple of misconceptions about the terminology related to octopuses. For example, it's not octopi, it's octopuses. And that's just a little technicality, but it is kind of a fun thing. And if the question comes up, then we can clarify that because we have that expert knowledge. And another thing is just arms versus legs or tentacles. Octopuses have arms. And we will clear that up many, many times during our cephalopod squid dissection program as we examine squid and octopus and their relatives. We'll give students all of those details and explain why those parts have different terms and why the terminology exists the way that it does. So again, we've done the background information searching. So if it's a content area that the teacher doesn't necessarily have as their forte, it's really fun for us to be the experts and let the teacher sit back and just be a facilitator for that connection.
And thank you on behalf of all of our, probably middle school, high school teachers who say thank you for using the scientific terms, because that really is important to have that language of science. Now, before you piqued my interest here, okay, the squid dissection, really, what materials do they get in the classroom? Do they just watch you cut up talk to me, tell me about it? I'm curious.
Well, it's an option to do it as a demonstration, but the preferable method is if teachers can acquire their own squid locally, but we all know that teachers don't have an infinite resource of time on their hands. So we are happy to ship the squid to them, and it's actually rather inexpensive. Even though we're shipping it FedEx overnight all the way from Alaska, we've got a pretty good deal on the shipping, and so it's not too much more. It's just $50 extra, and the squid will literally show up at your school. And it's frozen, it's ready to be thawed out and dissected. It's actually food quality squid. So there's no formaldehyde, it's not a preserved specimen. It's just frozen and then it thaws out, it's very clean, and it's a fascinating dissection. The things that come out of a squid's body are just amazing. So it's very, very fun, and we lead it under the document camera here, but the kids have their own squid right in front of them there on a paper plate with just tweezers and a pair of scissors is all you need to do the dissection. Very, very simple. And it was just so fascinating because those animals are so different from what we usually encounter.
Okay, now you've gotten me totally hot. I am so off task. I don't know if I mentioned, I see something shiny and I follow it. Okay, what grade level? Let's talk that squid dissection. What grade level is that for?
Well, I have done them in person for absolutely all grade levels, even down to preschool. But I would say the ones who are going to get the most out of it would be probably 5th grade on through high school. And we do it. I've never had a senior center ask for the squid dissection program. It'd probably be odd, but we've done a lot of programs with senior centers too. I'm sure they'd be happy to watch us do a squid dissection. But I've done it in person with Rhodes Scholar, lifelong learner groups with adult audiences, and it's just amazing. It's fascinating dissection. So, yeah, I would say probably 5th up through 12th grades would be great for the squid dissection program. Okay. And we can be flexible with our content. We can tailor it to a certain audience if the teacher requests it.
Okay, I love that. Now, you did mention it was $50 extra to get the squid FedEx to you. So what does that bring the total cost of the program to?
The base cost for all of our programs is $170 for most of the year. In the springtime, it's $180 just for March through May. because we've got so much going on here at the Alaska SeaLife Center during that period. And then the $50 extra would make it $220 or $230 for the squid program. And the only program that costs more than that is the scoop on poop, because of the materials involved with that one. I'll show you in a second. I'm sure you're dying to know. The scoop on poop, because of the cost of the materials, is a little bit higher. It is $200 in the off season or $210 in the springtime.
Okay. All right. So that kind of segues in. I know the squid dissection, you're going to tell me the scoop on poop. And then after you tell me scoop on poop, then kind of what grade levels? I know they're on the website, and I see y'all kind of have a range there, and it looks like y'all have divided them according to topics with grade levels, but just kind of talk to us your kind of philosophy of how you're doing there. Anything else, cost, topics, grade levels, and how schools connect to you. So, but first, tell me that scoop on poop. I had to know.
All right. Well, this title sort of sells itself, doesn't it? But I'll show you the materials that we mail out for that one. Each class will get a set of 10 scat samples is standard for a standard size class. And all of our programs, we can do that for more students. There is an additional cost for extra student materials, but it's based on up to 30 students. And what we do then is we actually pick through these scat samples. And so, of course, we're seeing mostly fish bones, but there are also some squid parts. For example, this is a squid eye lens right here. And I can tell the difference between that and a fish eye lens. And I can also see this large white object. We would actually, during the program, focus pretty heavily on this one. This is an otolith, or an ear stone, from a walleye pollock. And that particular species of fish represents the world's largest fishery for human consumption. This is turned into fish sticks and fish patties, fish fillets. All of McDonald's fish is Alaska pollock that comes out of the Bering Sea in the northern Gulf of Alaska. And so we see right away that stellar sea lions like to eat those species as well. And the students will actually identify this themselves. They get an ID chart with some of the various parts that they'll be expected to find in there. And they'll see right away these giant white things, unmistakable, walleye, pollock, otoliths. And what that leads right into is a discussion of why we do this research. The stellar sea lions are actually an endangered species. And that's why we have them here at the Alaska SeaLife Center. That's why we have lots of scientists here at the SeaLife Center who are studying them. And when we see that direct evidence of stellar sea lions eating the same fish that we catch by the billions of pounds, literally up to 3 billion pounds a year of pollock are caught out of the ocean, then we can see we've got this important balance to negotiate. And it goes into wildlife management, fisheries management, and lots of different discussion angles. So that's a great secondary level program. Of course, fourth graders are happy to dig through the scat and see what they can find, and they can identify a walleye, pollock, otolith just as well. The discussion level is a little bit lower, but I have done that program down to fourth grade and on up through 12th grade, even with adults again.
Nice. Oh my gosh, I was just thinking that right there, just hearing you talk, seriously could lead into so many different additional research projects and deeper inquiry. And wow, that's amazing. So that's probably fourth grade and up for that one, is what that one looks like.
Yeah, typically we say sixth grade and up is best, but I have gone as low as fourth grade for that one.
Well, and sometimes I do have people asking me, they want a little bit some more enrichment sometimes for some of the GT students or things like that. So
exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Yep. Or what a launch.
And when it fits well into the curriculum, we love to hear the teacher tell us that, hey, your Scoop on Poop program would go great with something I just finished, and we will absolutely tailor it to the content that they've got going on in the classroom.
Well, and I was thinking it would be nice to use the Scoop on Poop even as a launch to connect into that program and have the students learn with you, but then they decide what they want to research and use the Scoop on Poop, and then they could take it into their, whichever area they're interested in learning more and really do research and present it. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I got all kinds of ideas for that. I'll add them in the show notes. How about that? Other ways to use those programs. And so it looks like y'all have total about 10 programs. Is that what I'm seeing here?
It is something like that, give or take. Yep.
Okay. And they're all divided on the website. They're listed out by grade level. And so we have base programming there. Base prices, $170, $180, a little more for the squid and the poop, right?
Yep.
All right, got that. Now tell us how schools can connect to you, and then it's shameless self-promotion time. So if you have a mailing list or anything like that, tell us about it. So how can we from Texas connect up to Alaska, and then shameless self-promotion time?
All right. Well, the two main ways of linking up with us for reservations are either through the Center for Interactive Learning and Collaboration, the CILC. We're on there, or directly through our website. You'll see there's a reservation form right there. You can just email us that form, and we'll set up the reservation directly. And we don't have a newsletter, but you're welcome to contact us anytime about any questions that you might have. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. You'll see all kinds of interesting things. In fact, someone, I think, just posted on our Facebook site that they had a program for me, and they posted a video clip on there, so you could see that out there. So social media is another great one. We do have membership. We're a public aquarium, so just like any zoo or aquarium, you've got members, and so you could actually become an aquarium member with the Alaska SeaLife Center and then receive a regular member newsletter about the larger goings-on of the Alaska SeaLife Center. If you just wanted to be a part of the bigger team and support what we do, that's a great way to do it.
Okay, now that made me think, do you have one more? And then I have a question about that membership. Because with the membership, and I know, we go down to South Padre Island every summer, and they have a Sea Turtle Inc. down there, and they were, their mission is to work with the Kemp's Ridley turtle, which is located there in the Gulf. And so they're a rehabilitation hospital. And I noticed y'all have some rehab patients there. Do y'all have any sponsorship where a class could raise money to help? Because I know the Sea Turtles Inc. does that. You can adopt a sea turtle. Anything like that if schools got really interested, they could adopt one of these animals or something?
Yes, absolutely. We have adopt an animal programs out there on our website. And you can find that information. It's just alaskasealife.org is our website. And information there is always changing. But yeah, there are ways to support the animals directly.
Okay. All right. Now, Darin, anything else as we close today? Anything that I forgot to ask you, or you're like, oh, I should have said that. I should have said that time. Anything else?
We always like to point out that, as you can see, we deliver our programs from right out here in our exhibit gallery. And anything can happen. You never know who's going to swim by. And so it's just, it's a fun setting for the kids to enjoy a program. So, for example, we'll put our hands into the touch pool for our Tide Pool Travels program for the little ones, and they get to see us touching those animals and the animals' responses to our touch. So it's really as if you're literally here. We're not in a studio. We are out in the Alaska SeaLife Center. We're showing you what you would get to see if you were here in person. So I think it's just a great immersive experience here at the Alaska SeaLife Center, and our distance learning programs are super popular. We love to connect with anybody and everybody. Later in the day is better, of course. It's daylight here in the wintertime. But we've got recommendations on our website for time zones and when it's actually light here, so you can see the best times to connect to. Okay,
I did see that, your time zone recommendations, because y'all are there's Pacific time, and then y'all have your own time zone. Is that right?
Yep, we're 1 hour earlier than Pacific time, so we're 4 hours earlier than the East Coast.
Okay, so y'all are, and I must tell you, being a Texan, you know how we always say everything's bigger in Texas. That was a bit humbling to see you actually move Alaska right down there and show us. It was. I was just, I will mention that in our notes as well. Got to see that. All right. Well, Darin, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on our Content Connections. So we thank you so much. Today we've had Darin Trobaugh, who is the education specialist from the Alaska SeaLife Center in Seward, Alaska. And wherever you are, if you have a computer with a webcam, or if you have traditional video conferencing gear, you can connect in with the Alaska SeaLife Center and, oh my gosh, learn so much more about all kinds of animals. And teachers, I tell you what, it's going to fit right into, I bet he's got something that will fit into your science curriculum. All right, Darin, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Roxanne. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you. Whoops. Okay, I hit the wrong button. Okay, good. We can edit that at the bottom. Okay, are you still there?
I am, yes.
I am just pushing all kinds of buttons here. You'd think I got all sidetracked. Okay, all I can keep thinking of is that squid. That is just awesome.
Oh, it's great.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Okay, I started.